Now on CoastTV News.
A freeze warning continues through mid-morning, then sunny and cool today with less wind. Protect your plants again tonight for patchy frost. Details coming up.
Tracking whale tragedy, the failed attempt to beach the dead whale at the Indian River Inlet and its status this morning.
Coastal cash cut, the reaction in Fenwick Island after the loss of federal money for programs designed to protect its beaches.
Pairing primary dates. We look at the bill approved by the Delaware House that changes the election calendar in the state.
This is CoastTV News Today.
And welcome to our 6 o'clock hour. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. It is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025.
And Elisa, this is not the spring day I was preferring.
I'm going to have to agree with you, but Bob has been like, guys, relax, calm down. This is spring. He's reminding us it's warm, then it's cold. So Bob, thank you for being the realist. You know, we're trying to just deal with these cold temperatures. You know, it's normal.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You know, it's still the first half of April, so it's not uncommon to get a freeze or a frost. And I tell you what, temperatures are dipping now. We had a breeze overnight, kept things mixed up a little bit, but now it's calm and it's getting cold. 29 in Delmarva, 30 in Georgetown, 31 in Seaford and Milton. Millsboro right now at 32. Mid to upper 30s at the coast. You have a breeze there, so no freezing there as you have the breeze, but it's calm inland with the clear skies, and we're looking at feels like temperatures into the 20s and 30s. Freeze warning continues for interior Sussex County, and that goes until 9 a.m. Also Salisbury to Ocean Pines and Ocean City and the eastern shore as well. So we have clear, calm, and cold conditions as high pressure is moving in. All those ingredients allowing for that very cold start. And then the high will slide in over the top of us today, providing a sunny and chilly day. But we're below freezing this morning. Hope you protected your plants. And then it's a slow rise above freezing around 8 a.m. and then through the 40s by 11 a.m. into the mid to upper 40s. Some of us not getting out of the 40s later on, but I think away from the coast inland, we're into the lower 50s as we go into the afternoon. Make sure the kids are bundled up with those temperatures near freezing this morning with sunshine. And then heading home, not bad. Sunshine, light winds, and temperatures around 50 degrees.
Bob, and let's check out more of these freezing conditions. This is a live look at Milford on this Wednesday morning. Hard to see if there's any frost on the cars there. Doesn't look like there's any on the grass at our shot here, but we are beginning this morning around that freezing mark. And it's not spring-like weather for sure, everybody, as low temperatures are a big part of our overnight story. Temperatures that led to concern about frost. Now, you may be wondering how to keep your foliage, plants safe. CoastTV spoke with Bella Terra Landscapes and Garden Centers to see what are the best ways to keep those plants safe while facing a freeze.
If you have things that are actually planted in the ground, just covering them up with an old sheet or some old newspaper. Here at the Garden Center, we're using cotton cloths. And then plants that are in pots, you just may want to tuck them into your shed or your garage.
Freeze warning is expected to end, as we saw earlier, about 9 a.m., and you can keep track of all weather conditions with our First Alert Weather app.
And having frost at this time of year is not uncommon. We looked at data from the National Gardening Association, and here's what we found. The historical average for this date shows a 30% chance of frost. In Dewey Beach, it jumps up to 50%. In Ocean City, it's also at 50% in Georgetown and 40% in Selbyville.
Happening now, Mayor is still following the dead whale recently found along the Delaware coast. And on Tuesday, the whale floated into the Indian River Inlet. So the Mayor Institute attempted to beach the whale as it moved out to sea, but it was just moving too fast. The whale is now headed south, and it can be identified by the orange ball float still attached to it.
Happening today, Rehoboth Beach says goodbye to 2 boardwalk businesses. According to the city, crews could begin demolition of the Sirocco Motel and Grotto's Pizza as early as today. A study on the motel found structural damage in several places, including a support pillar. The project requires the north side of Baltimore Avenue sidewalk leading to the boardwalk to close, and the demolition is a small part of the larger construction of the One Rehoboth Hotel.
In Fenwick Island, FEMA funding, it's called a brick grant, was pulled from the town. Instead, that money is now being sent to North Carolina for hurricane recovery support. Falmouth Island Mayor Natalie Magdeburger says the FEMA grant would have been used to bring on engineers who would then determine responses to sea level changes. That would include alterations and repairs to existing bulkheads along the coast. Magdeburger says the BRIC grant would have totaled about $300,000, with the town covering around 25% of that.
New this morning, there could be a new date for primary elections in Delaware. On Tuesday, a bill was approved in the State House that would eliminate holding separate elections in Delaware during presidential voting years. House Bill 65 passed by an overwhelming majority. It applies to statewide, county, and municipal primaries. The new date is the fourth Tuesday in April. That would align with the date of the presidential primaries in Delaware. The bill now goes to the Senate for review, and if signed into law, it will take effect in 2027.
Now, 39 representatives voted in favor of House Bill 65. One did not, and one was absent. That absent member was Democrat Stell Parker-Selby, who represents District 20, and that covers Milton and part of Lewis. In fact, she's been a no-show for the entire session of the General Assembly that began in January. It was around that time that she sent a letter stating she would not be in attendance due to a, quote, medical event. On Tuesday, there were over 10 pieces of legislation voted on by the House. Today, on the schedule, over 10 more items could come up for a vote, and we have not had any indication that Parker-Selby will be there to represent her district.
We are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. Investors are in white-knuckle grip this morning as the biggest tariffs kicked in yet overnight. And China, who now faces a 104%, is vowing to, quote, fight to the end.
Analysts, business leaders, even some lawmakers are warning of an escalating trade war. NBC's Alice Barr shows us how President Trump and his team insist the pain in the pocket for Americans will be short-lived and the country will profit.
Not going to take it anymore. And that's
this morning, President Trump's trade war ratcheting up as his unprecedented tariffs on imports from around the world took effect just after midnight, spooking Wall Street investors once again.
I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
The White House says 70 countries have already reached out to negotiate down the tariffs.
They are dying to make a deal. Please, please, sir, make a deal.
Something some Republicans wary of stock market plunges and recession warnings are begging the president to do.
Pretty pleased with sugar on top. You sit down with every one of these countries that want to lower their trade barriers, and let's make a deal.
Others standing by President Trump's tariff strategy.
To reset, recalibrate the entire global economy by bringing it all home to America.
But economists warn it will take years to rebuild American manufacturing for products like apparel and electronics that long ago shifted overseas, with the U.S. especially reliant on China, now hit with a cumulative 104% tariff. China firing back with retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. Some products like imported auto parts already seeing sticker shock from earlier tariff rounds.
There was one part that was around $280, and then 2 days later, the cost went up to like $328.
Democrats underscoring higher prices for American consumers.
The U.S. economy has gone from the envy of the world to a laughingstock in less time than it took to finish March Madness.
As President Trump stands firm that his big bet on trade will pay off. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
We're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Coming up, Inland Bay's dismay, the response by the organization after learning about the loss of federal money.
Also, a Velo immigration agreement will tell you why the company is defending the new deal with the Department of Homeland Security.
And Millsboro closures continue. What part of Route 113 will be impacted and for how long? All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
6:11 on this cold Wednesday morning. FH Furcam 36 in Cambridge. Above freezing for you, but below freezing inland areas. That's where we have that freeze warning. But at the coast, we're into the mid to upper 30s right now. Inland areas, the winds are calm, but we have that breeze at the coast. So bottom line is it's cold. It feels like temperatures in the 20s and 30s as we have clear skies, and as high pressure slides over us today, that means lots of sunshine, light winds, and temperatures still on the cool side. So I think it's a no-brainer on the size coffee this morning. I know it's always XL for me, but today it's so cold, go extra large. 52, sunny and cool as we go into the afternoon with lots of sunshine.
Be shocked that Dave Bob actually goes small on that coffee. We have several more nights of closures on Route 113 in Millsboro. It's related to the bypass project. According to DelDOT, crews will continue working through April 11th. Now, DelDOT says this is to place beams for the new bridge. Starting today, the closures are affecting drivers in northbound lanes. DelDOT says crews are working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
And an update on road work taking place in Georgetown. According to the town, DelDOT has postponed lane and shoulder closures. On your screen now is the railroad crossing where the Delmarva Central Railroad Company is performing maintenance work at Route 9. That work was set to begin today, but is now scheduled for tomorrow. That will begin at 9 a.m. and that work is expected to be completed by April 25th at 5 p.m.
Yeah, this just in this morning. Salisbury is preparing for its annual Hops on the River event. And because of this, officials are announcing road closures that will be in place. Drivers have to avoid South Division Street from Times Square to Camden Street. Also, West Market along the library and Circle Avenue from West Market Street to the parking garage. Hops on the River takes place Saturday, April 12th. Closures are in effect from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Federal investigators are looking into an apparent air traffic control error that led to a near miss last month in Washington, D.C. On March 28th, a formation of military jets was headed to Arlington National Cemetery for a flyover. They came less than 3,900 feet laterally from a Delta plane that was taking off from Reagan National Airport. That means a collision was averted about 5 seconds to spare. This follows that deadly tragedy near Reagan National Airport in January, where 67 people on an American Airlines flight died after a midair collision with a military helicopter.
The controversial congestion tolling program in New York charges most drivers a $9 toll to enter Manhattan's main business district during peak times. President Trump promised to end the toll soon after taking office, claiming it's harmful to the city's economy. State transit officials then sued the federal government over efforts to stop the toll. According to a new court filing, officials have agreed to allow the congestion pricing to stay in place, at least until July. That's to give the judge on the case more time to consider the motions.
Sun's up in about 20 minutes, seeing a beautiful sunrise, and I think that could be Venus right there, the planet above our banner right there. 31 in Laurel, freezing temperatures, a freeze warning through mid-morning, a sunny and cool day with less wind. That's always good. Protect your plants again tonight for the possibility of frost, and then better rain chances into the end of the weekend, a part of the weekend. Your full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Time is 6:17, and we're getting a live look at the Roosevelt Inn. Listen, Lewis hints of some of the sunrise there. It's probably going to be a great one today. And Bob, all I can say is at least it's not snowing.
There's always that, Matt. At least we can put the snow shovels away for the season. Need the ice scraper this morning, however, inland areas where it is cold now, freezing or below in most locations. 32 in Milton. I just checked my station in Millsboro, 31 there. 30 in Georgetown, 29 in Delmar, 32 in Salisbury. And then at the coast, we've got mid to upper 30s with a bit of a breeze here. So you're frost free and you're staying above freezing with a little bit of a breeze there. But inland areas, the winds have gone calm as high pressure is building in. So feels like temperatures into the 20s and low 30s. And that freeze warning is for interior areas of Sussex County until 9 a.m. That's excluding the coast from Lewis down to Ocean View and Bethany Beach. Salisbury to Pittsville, Ocean Pines. Freeze warning for you until 9 a.m. and the same for the eastern shore as we're looking at those cold, clear, and calm conditions away from the coast right now and good visibility. And we have high pressure that's building in. Had this high been right over the top of us this morning, I think temperatures would have tanked even more. But it was off to our west. We had a bit of a northwest breeze, but now that high is settling over the top of us. So the winds are going light with clear skies, and we will see clear skies for today with lots of sunshine. And temperatures still on the cool side as we slowly warm above freezing this morning. By 7:30, we're into the mid-30s, some upper 30s at the coast as we defrost from the morning freeze. And then a slow climb through the 40s this morning. Lots of sunshine today. You can see the absence of arrows indicating the light winds. And then by later this afternoon, I think we're lower 50s from 113 and points west, but 40s along the beaches. And then temperatures dip this evening into the upper 30s 30s and lower 40s around midnight. Protect the plants again. Could be frosty by tomorrow morning as clouds increase, as we're in the 30s and 40s. And then the winds increase tomorrow off the ocean as we become mostly cloudy. And I think we keep it dry during the day, but a better chance of showers tomorrow night into Friday morning, as those winds thankfully have become much lighter today. And then we're seeing those winds turning around to the south and southeast as we go into your Thursday, and then getting stronger and bringing in more moisture. And that'll be the case into Friday, as it's a cloudy day and it gets pretty rainy later Friday into Saturday, with low pressure developing offshore. Saturday still a little unsettled as a bigger storm develops off the coast, but then I think we're far enough away Sunday where I think we're just looking at mostly cloudy skies. And once again, protect those plants tomorrow morning with that possibility of frost. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, 52 today down to 36 tonight, 56 on Thursday, increasing clouds. Friday looking wet, and then Passover Saturday looks kind of wet too with 56 degrees. And then Palm Sunday, I think we could see some sun, 59, and then warmer 60s and low 70s, and drier into early next week.
Thank you, Bob. Happening now, Avail Airlines is agreeing to a long-term deal flying for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE. The company is one of a small number of airlines cashing in on the multi-million-dollar business of deportation flights. Avail is headquartered in Houston. They have flights to and from Wilmington, Delaware. They say the ICE flights will be both domestic and international to support the Department of Homeland Security's deportation efforts. One immigration advocate says these type of flights are a big money business.
Right now, as best I can tell, DHS is spending about between $25 and $35 million a month.
Deal also includes the transport of people in ICE custody domestically, typically from the 24 detention centers across the U.S.
In a statement to CoastTV, Avail Airlines said in part, "We are determined to this charter flying will provide us with the stability to continue expanding our core scheduled passenger service and keep our more than 1,000 crew members employed for years to come." And you can find more about the situation at coasttv.com.
Delmarva officials are attempting to finalize the 2026 fiscal year budget. There's a workshop on this taking place today. Town is considering a total budget of over $11 million. It includes $4.3 in the Maryland part of the town and over $2.5 million from Delmarva, Delaware. That workshop is set for 6 p.m. at the town hall.
Up next on Coast TV News today, Inland Bay's dismay will tell you why the center says there could still be hope after the financial loss. Stay with us on Coast TV News today. We are learning more about the Center for the Inland Bay's fear of losing funding. This after the center's director said federal cuts mean a huge loss for that organization. The director spoke at the Sussex Preservation Coalition meeting on Tuesday night. He said that with the help from people on the coast, there may be some hope for the center.
Our whole watershed needs care, and so the opportunity here is to let people know how it needs care, why it is that we do the things that we do, and how it is that they can pitch in and help.
Toulouse tells Coast TV they will be losing $1.6 million. He says they will have to find other ways to get some funding. And Matt, you said it earlier. Thank goodness it's not snowing today.
Yeah, Lisa, you know they do
Yes.
call me the optimist of the newsroom.
They do. They do. Well, thank you for that. We all needed that reminder. It could be worse. No. Yeah.
Nope, no snow.
Could be worse, Bob.
It could be a lot worse. We could be digging out, but we're not digging out. But it's cold at the beaches, mid-30s in Assateague and Chincoteague. Lots of sunshine today, but it's a cold day, only in the mid-40s. Thankfully, those winds are much lighter. Waves around 1 to 3 feet. Fenwick Island and Ocean City starting out cold, but at least above freezing. There is that mid-30s and then 40s as we go through the day. Next 3 days on the Bayside and Cambridge, 50s today and tomorrow. Rain increases Friday with similar conditions for Crisfield. I think some of that rain will spill into the weekend, not looking like a complete washout. Much more in your forecast coming up in the next half hour.
On Coast TV News today, Fenwick Island fights funding. We'll tell you why FEMA is now diverting money that was meant for the town.
Also, voter verification, how a new bill could change the way you vote in the first state.
And protect your plants. We'll tell you how you can keep your foliage safe from the possible freeze this morning. Coast TV News today will be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
A freeze warning continues through mid-morning, then sunny and cool today with less wind. Protect your plants again tonight for patchy frost. Details coming up.
Tracking whale tragedy, the failed attempt to beach the dead whale at the Indian River Inlet and its status this morning.
Coastal cash cut, the reaction in Fenwick Island after the loss of federal money for programs designed to protect its beaches.
Pairing primary dates. We look at the bill approved by the Delaware House that changes the election calendar in the state.
This is Coast TV News Today.
April 9th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
Time is 6:29. I'm going to call a moratorium on this. We're done complaining about the cold because at some point, warm weather will return.
That is true. I will say in my younger years, I loved winter. I loved it. This is one of my favorite seasons.
Your younger years.
My younger years. Now, I like the warmer weather now. And Bob, the warmer weather will return. We just have to get through this week.
Your younger years. Okay. You're still very young. Compared to me. Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. We're looking at freezing conditions. Inland areas now 32 in Salisbury, 29 in Delmarva, 32 in Seaford. Below freezing from Georgetown to Milton. Just check Millsboro, around 31 there. At the beach is a different story. Mid to upper 30s as you have a bit of a breeze there, but the winds have gone calm inland as high pressure is settling overhead. As we're looking at, feels like temperatures now into the 20s and 30s. So you're feeling more of that wind and those feels like temperatures at the beaches as we do have a freeze warning. This continues now for another 2.5 hours for interior Sussex County, excluding the immediate coast, because as we just saw, we're looking at temperatures above freezing. But at the coast in Ocean City, you do have a freeze warning extending into Salisbury until 9 and then into the eastern shore until 9 a.m. as well. Skies are clear, winds are calm as that high is building in. Had that high settled right over us earlier, temperatures really would have bottomed out, but we had a little bit of a breeze overnight mixing things up. But as that high settles in, we're going to see lots of sunshine today, still on the cool side and still right around that freezing mark around 7 a.m. And then we melt things by 9 with 40s, and it's a slow climb through the 40s today with light winds, and at least we'll see lots of sunshine, lower 50s across interior Sussex County back through Salisbury, but cooler 40s at the coast. And if you're going for a jog today, well, bundle up, but not bad. Light winds, don't have to dodge any puddles or snow. We're looking at dry conditions, temperatures in the 30s, then eventually 40s later this morning.
Thank you, Bob. And we're now going to look at Salisbury on this frigid Wednesday morning. As we can see, that sun is starting to come up. Those road conditions, they look pretty good from there, not seeing too many frost or anything out there. Of course, always be careful. We are nearing the middle of April, and it is cold outside.
It is cold, Elisa, and that is part of our top story this morning, a winter-like feel in April. We are dealing with cold conditions. Temperatures, as we've been talking about, are around that freezing mark of 32 degrees. So you may be wondering how to keep your foliage friends safe. Experts at Bella Terra Landscapes and Garden Centers say for plants that are rooted in the ground, covering them up with an old sheet or old newspaper is fine, but for those in pots, you actually should consider moving them inside a shed or a garage.
Happening now, Murr is still following the dead whale recently found in the Indian River Bay. The whale has floated into the inlet, and the Murr Institute is attempting to beach that whale. They tried to do that on Tuesday and move it out to sea, but it was moving too fast. The whale now is headed south and can be identified by the orange ball float still attached to it.
A bill being reviewed in the Delaware Senate is attempting to have one primary date in Delaware instead of the two that take place during presidential election years. On Tuesday in the House, HB 65 passed by an overwhelming majority. It applies to statewide, county, and municipal primaries. The new date is the fourth Tuesday in April. That would align with the date of the presidential primaries in Delaware, and if this is signed into law, it'll take effect in 2027.
This just in, an update to Delaware's code on voting was introduced yesterday in the House. The act requires photographic identification in order to vote. House Bill 112 is sponsored by Milford area Republican Brian Shoup. Last month, President Trump signed an executive order that requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote. With no apparent support from Democrats in the state House, it will be a challenge for this bill to get to the floor for a full vote.
FEMA funding called a BRIC grant. It's being pulled from Fenwick Island. It's part of a rerouting effort to provide more support to hurricane recovery efforts in North Carolina. Fenwick Island Mayor Natalie Magdeburger says the FEMA-supported grant would have been used to bring engineers to determine changes needed to respond to rising sea levels, and some of those changes include potential alterations and repairs to existing bulkheads along the coast. Mayor says the BRIC grant would have totaled roughly $300,000, with Fenwick Island estimated to cover around 25% of that amount.
The giant Cool Spring Crossing development back after a year pause. Developers want to build something called Cool Springs Crossing off of Route 9 and Cool Springs Road in Milton.
Plans are for about 2,000 housing units, maybe more. Sussex Preservation Coalition has been vocal in its opposition, and CoastTV News reporter Brendan Conroy shows us what the group wants people to consider regarding the project.
New developments keep popping up on the coast, but not everyone wants to see that happen.
It's just the wrong place, the wrong time.
The proposed Cool Spring Crossing project is back in the works. Sussex Preservation Coalition President Jill Hicks thinks the development will strain county resources.
It's a problem with infrastructure. It's not just the traffic, it's the schools can't handle that, and they have let us know that. Emergency services can't handle that many people.
Eileen Greenfield, on the other hand, is not against this new development at all. She says if growth can happen positively, why not bring it on?
I do think we need infrastructure there, and I think we need a lot of organizations and people to come forward and be together in a planned community for the area.
The coalition making efforts to preserve the coast. For Coast TV News, I'm Brendan Conroy.
New this morning, people living in Worcester County will soon have to pay more for water and sewer services. County officials are holding information sessions to explain the rate increases in the fiscal year 2026. County says some of the increases are due to aging infrastructure, also increased chemical and equipment costs, and people in Ocean City, they can learn about changes at Mr. Carver and other facilities during a session at Stephen Decatur High School.
We are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. New tariffs on imports from dozens of countries are now in effect. Customs and Border Protection says most range from 11% to 50%. However, China is facing an 84% bump on goods. The total hike for Chinese imports is 104%. China already is responding by vowing to, quote, fight to the end. President Donald Trump says his team is working on tailored deals that eventually could lower some of those tariffs. In the meantime, American businesses have to pay up.
It's going to be legendary. You watch, legendary in a positive way.
American families will pay more for food and for pharmaceuticals. They'll pay more for cars and gasoline and clothing, everything.
Most economists say the fees will pass on some or all of that cost to American consumers.
We have a lot more news to get to in this final half hour. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, Delaware drought details will tell you the current state of weather conditions in Delaware according to a new website.
Also, shorebirds take two. It's after a Tuesday postponement. The birds are making another attempt for their home opener.
But first, Beachgrass Benefits will tell you how an annual event in Fenwick Island helps improve Delaware's coastline. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
We salute Brigadier General James A. Benson. Brigadier General James A. Benson serves as the Assistant Adjutant General of the Delaware Army National Guard, a role he assumed in June 2023. Since beginning his military career in 1992, General Benson has held various leadership positions and received extensive military education, including a Master of Strategic Studies from the Army War College. He has been recognized for his service with multiple commendations, such as the Bronze Star during deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. His leadership significantly enhances the operational readiness and effectiveness of the Delaware Army National Guard.
Spicer Brothers and Coast TV are honoring military persons and first responders serving Delmarva. If you have a family member, friend, or community member that you would like to nominate for a Coast TV salute, go to coasttvsalutes.com.
6:40 on this cold morning. Tunnel and Razor Camp, beautiful sunrise in progress. Just a few little clouds out there. 36 at the coast. We're not freezing or seeing any frost there, but inland, yeah, right around freezing or below. 28 in Delmarva and Redden. 31 in Millsboro, just check there. 31 in Milton. These will probably be the lows as the sun is rising now. And the winds are a little stronger at the coast, so it feels like temperatures similar to the actual temperatures in the 20s and 30s. Beautiful day on the way with clear skies and high pressure settling in will promise more sunshine and cool conditions. For the kiddos at the bus stop, it's going to be cold, 30 degrees with freezing temperatures. At least the sun is out and those winds are not howling today. And heading home, 49, sunny and cool. And congratulations to Joan Wheatley from Seaford. She is the proud owner of a new umbrella from Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling and CoastTV.
New this morning, Fenwick Island will hear an update from the impacts of its beach grass planting. It takes place at today's environmental committee meeting. The town says the efforts help build and protect the sand dunes and have progressed vegetation along the coastline. Last month, it was the 35th annual event.
Delaware is setting its eye on the need for more affordable housing. For the past few months, a task force has been studying the shortage, and it has released a final report. This report serves as a statewide guideline to boost affordable housing. It includes key recommendations like expanding funding and streamlining the approval process. The Delaware Housing Director says home supply is just not meeting its demand.
The type of development, the type of density, the type of housing supply that we want our new system, as we recreate it, as we re-envision it, to produce for us is different than what they've seen over the past several decades.
As for implementing the plan, Heckle says they're seeing progress and hope for some more.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Yes, it's the Shorebirds home opener, take 2 tonight at Purdue. Let's get you ready for the broadcast on DSN. Delmarva looks to win its first game of the season against the Fayetteville Woodpeckers. The Astros single A affiliate comes into this series at 1-2 on the year. Our coverage on DSN begins at 7 p.m. tonight. First pitch is slated for 7:05. And remember, this is exclusively over the air. You cannot stream Shorebirds baseball on DSN+. Last night's game will be made up tomorrow as part of a doubleheader beginning at 5:35. Salisbury men's lacrosse is also in action later today. The Seagulls are 13-0 to begin the season, and Salisbury has racked up 6 ranked wins in the process. The Gulls are in search of their 14th national title in program history, which would pass Hobart for the most in the history of Division III lacrosse. Our next men's lax broadcast is next Tuesday when the Gulls host St. Mary's. Speaking of high-level lax, how about what Cape Henlopen did last night? The Vikings hosted Maryland 4A power Broadneck, and Evan Burris and company took care of business. Cape held the Bruins to just 3 goals the entire game. The Vikings moved to 5-1 in the season with the 8-3 win. Cape can improve that further tonight at Dover at 7 p.m. See you tonight at Purdue Stadium, or we hope you tune into our broadcasts against Shorebirds and Woodpeckers. All the action begins at 7. That is for sports.
And coming up tonight on DSN, it is that Shorebirds home opener. And then at 10:30, catch the final score. And for your DSN Plus lineup, at 4, we have Parkside taking on Kent Island in boys lacrosse. Also at 4, it's high school tennis. Decatur visits Snow Hill. Cape is at Milford for girls lacrosse. 5:30, we have high school boys lacrosse. Indian River travels to Sussex Academy.
And here's a look at what's coming up this afternoon on Coast Life at 4.
We made it halfway through the week, and we've got another episode of Coast Life for you. Lots of fun coming up today at 4. We're going to be giving away a bathroom remodel to a very deserving individual.
A little emotional, that one.
So emotional.
Plus, hooking them while they're young. This is all about preserving wetlands, a book that's going to get the younger kids interested in why it's important.
That's right. And yesterday we talked about spring cleaning in our great debate. Well, have you thought about maybe the curb appeal of your house for some of that spring cleaning? And maybe concrete is something you haven't considered, but it is something that you should consider. We'll tell you why with all of that and more today at 4 on Coast Life. We'll see you then.
The sun is on the rise. We're seeing the gutter helmet cam showing a little chop out there on Indian River Bay. 34 in Ocean View, freezing temperatures or below inland areas. That freeze warning continues until 9. Otherwise, a sunny and cool day today. Protect your plants again tonight. Could see a little bit of patchy frost, then increasing rain Friday into a part of the weekend. Your full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 6:47. We are taking a live look outside at Cambridge this morning on this very chilly morning, Bob. As you can see, the sun is out. That's a beautiful shot right there. It will warm up a little bit as the day goes on, Bob, though. Yes.
A little bit, but no, it'll be a much nicer day, Elisa. Those winds won't be howling like they were yesterday, and it'll be much calmer. But we're looking at freezing temperatures this morning at or below freezing inland areas. 32 in Salisbury, 28 now in Delmarva, 28 in Red, and 30 in Georgetown. I checked my station in Millsboro, 31 there. But at the coast, we're in the mid-30s as we have a bit of a breeze there. So no freezing temperatures there. As you can see, the winds are up here, but we're also looking at comp conditions inland, and feels like temperatures pretty much like the actual temperatures into the 20s and 30s is what it feels like, colder at the beaches. You do not have a freeze warning there right along the immediate coast, but inland Sussex County and points north and west, it is a freeze warning that continues until 9 a.m. That's the same for Dorchester, Somerset, Wycomico, and Worcester counties. That's until 9 a.m. And then for the eastern shore, you're also under this freeze warning. As we have all the ingredients coming together for that frost, clear, calm, and cold conditions as high pressure is settling in. Had that high been right over us last night, we would have really seen temperatures tank, but it was back to our west. We had a little bit of a breeze, but now that high is beginning to settle over the top of us. It'll be a beautiful day, lighter winds, but it's still going to be on the chilly side. In the meantime, west of this high, we're looking at some rain and snow across the Midwest. That's the next system that will give us some rain later Thursday night into Friday. Futurecast this morning creeping above that freezing mark at 7:30, and then we've totally melted everything by about 9 a.m. with temperatures in the low 40s. A slow climb through the 40s into the low 50s, around 50 in Millsboro later on this afternoon, 52 in Salisbury, but cooler 40s at the coast. And then this evening under clear skies, we do fall back into the upper 30s by midnight, early tomorrow morning. Protect those plants just in case, because you look at these temperatures around 6 a.m., mid to upper 30s, could be a little frosty at that time, but we have some clouds and a bit of a breeze, so not as cold as this morning. Then I think we're looking at a mostly cloudy Thursday with temperatures in the 40s and 50s and winds picking up off the ocean, and those rain chances increase Thursday night into Friday morning. And thankfully, the wind's much calmer this morning and today, but by this evening they start to come in out of the south and southeast and then start picking up as we go into your Thursday, increasing the moisture as we will be seeing rain developing on Friday, especially in the afternoon into the evening and overnight, looking really wet. We're going to have a system developing offshore, maybe a nor'easter. It's well offshore by Sunday with just mostly cloudy skies then and then clearing out by Monday. And once again, we do have that potential for frost as we go into tomorrow morning, so protect your plants. Paul, they have a 7-day forecast, 56 clouding up Thursday, kind of a rainy Friday, 57. Into the weekend, Passover could be a little wet, 56 degrees. I think it does dry out for Palm Sunday, 59, and then warmer next week, early next week, 69 Monday, and by Tuesday, partly cloudy and 71 degrees.
Thank you, Bob. As drought and dry conditions persist, Delaware has launched a new website to track those conditions. This is the new Drought Resources and Awareness website. DENREC says the platform will provide updates on precipitation, groundwater levels, and other indicators of drought across the state. According to the latest update posted on the website, March precipitation, it was higher than average in most parts of Delaware, especially Sussex County.
2 people are now facing charges. Ocean City police say they were arrested after selling drugs in the town. According to the police department, Patrick Sabatino and Rebecca Bivens were arrested on April 3rd after police searched Sabatino's home. The investigation revealed Sabatino sold crack cocaine, powder cocaine, and crystal meth to an undercover officer. Both suspects are being held without bond. And it is 6:51, so we're now going to check in with our coastal pet of the day.
And today's coastal pet of the day this hour, ready for April showers to end. On your screen is fan favorite Benny. As you can see, he's had enough of the rain. Benny was submitted to us, as always, by Tammy and Seaford.
Benny is adorable. We want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
Scan that QR code at the top there. That way you can get your friends to Coast TV News and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
Don't worry, Betty. Don't need that umbrella for a couple days, but you'll need it end of the weekend to the weekend with more rain. FH Furcam in Cambridge, 36 right now. We've got freezing conditions inland. That freeze warning continues through mid-morning. Otherwise, sunny and cool today, less wind. Protect your plants again tonight for patchy frost, and then increasing rain chances Friday into a part of the weekend. I'll have your 10-day forecast coming up next. Stay tuned.
It is 6:51, so here's the things you need to know before you go. Spring may have sprung, but we aren't out of the cold weather just yet. You may be wondering how to keep your foliage safe. Well, Bellaterra Landscape Center says if you have things that you actually planted in the ground, you can cover them up with an old sheet or some old newspaper. And then plants that are in pots, you can tuck them into your shed or garage.
Starting this Wednesday at 9 a.m. in Georgetown, there will be land and shoulder closures. On your screen is where the Delmarva Central Railroad Company is performing maintenance work at the railroad crossing. This is again in Georgetown Route 9. There'll be intermittent closures throughout the area, with the work expected to be completed by April 25th by 5 p.m.
And at 6:56, we're going to take another look at your forecast before you head out the door.
Bob, let's get back to spring-like temperatures. Do me a solid.
Let's do it. But, you know, we had that graphic before. It's not unusual to get a frost or freeze this time of year. It's about a 50-50 proposition, and we have that freeze this morning. Freeze warning away from the coast until 9 a.m., and many inland locations at or below freezing right now. And we're slowly moving above that freezing mark, I think, by 8 a.m., and then we're totally melting things off by 10 with 42 degrees. Lots of sunshine today, a slow warm-up. We'll see much lighter winds, and with sunshine, temperatures into the lower 50s, I think staying in the 40s at the coast. Paul Davis, 10-day forecast. Protect your plants again tonight, because I think we're looking at temperatures that could be frosty, not as cold as this morning, about 36, but the clouds should keep us a little warm in the morning hours, and then mostly cloudy Thursday, 56. I think rain chances increase Thursday night, and then Friday's kind of wet, 57, and then into the weekend for Passover on Saturday, I think it is kind of rainy, 56, and then drying out for Palm Sunday, 59. Warms up into next week, 69 Monday, 71 on Tuesday. Then we're in the 60s Wednesday through Good Friday, milder there, and as of now, I think it does stay mild and dry into the Easter holiday weekend, but it's still a ways out. We'll continue to watch it.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News Today.
And the Today Show is coming up next at 7 a.m.
Then we'll be back for Coast TV Midday at 11.
For more news and coverage you can count on, download our Coast TV News and weather apps. Have a great Wednesday morning, everybody.